If you feel disappointed, frustrated, or upset, then listen up. I've got the secret for how to get over it and experience lasting fulfillment. Maybe you've said it before. I know that I have. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. I'm upset because he, she, they aren't meeting my needs. This complaint often stems from the idea that we were each born with certain requirements that must be met in order to feel fulfilled or even loved. These include things like affirming words, validation of feelings, security, attention, or maybe even gifts. To be sure, God did create us with needs. The most obvious are food, water, and shelter. Others are emotional, such as acceptance, love, and value. It's certainly understandable that if you don't experience these things, that you might feel unfulfilled. But all too often, what we think we need aren't really things that God created us to need at all, but are actually the results of bad life experiences. For example, because I experienced much rejection in my youth, I later craved affirmation as an adult. I felt I needed people to recognize or tell me how good I was at something. When I got affirmed, I felt fulfilled. But if I didn't, I felt not good enough. The truth that I later learned is that God didn't create me to need affirmation. Quite the opposite, really. He wanted me to be delivered from the need of affirmation. Here's a heads up. Nobody is employed to be the babysitter of your happiness. Not your friends, not your spouse, not your coworkers, nobody. If you're depending upon people to fill some tank of needs, then you'll constantly live on a roller coaster of great highs and great lows. Sure, it would be nice, it would be wonderful if others would be so considerate to think about recognizing you more, spending more time with you, or maybe even being a better listener. But you can't be let down, upset, or angry if and when they don't. You alone are responsible for feeling fulfilled. And the secret to getting there is to recognize that God is your provider. His name is Jehovah Jireh, after all, which means the Lord will provide. Need to feel valued? 1 Corinthians 7:23 declares God paid a high price for you. Need to feel loved? Romans 8:38 affirms nothing can ever separate us from God's love. Need to feel accepted? Look at Ephesians 1:4. God loved us and chose us in Christ to be holy and without fault in His eyes. I could go on, but ultimately, these aren't needs that any one person can perfectly provide, even if they wanted to. No, they are only perfectly satisfied by God. You'll end so much of your frustration and disappointment just by letting people off the hook for a job that they can't possibly fulfill. The day that you decide your needs are met in the Lord is the day that you'll experience real and lasting fulfillment.